the upcoming Mercury retrograde. This is a big one. I usually don't like making videos about Mercury retrograde, but this is going retrograde on 9 degree of Aries, exactly where the upcoming eclipse is going to be taking place. So this Mercury is very much featured. Also, Mercury is the dispositor of the past eclipse. This is the one that is happening actually on the 14th of March. So there is a lot of Mercurian topics here. And I think we can see that in the world as well. Of course, we've got this kind of like trade war type of situation, and Mercury rules trading. So I decided to make a video, an update for you. I recommend listening to the very end because this might be something that will be able to help you to prepare with the upcoming 6 months in your life. And also, if you like the video, please press like and also maybe share the videos with others. Or it would be even nice if you let me know where your Mercury retrograde is taking place and whether you see any type of 11-month repetition with Mercury. And I'm going to tell you in a short while why actually that would be kind of like important to see this 11-month loop. Now, without any further ado, let's get going. Let me get the dates out of the picture first. So 1st of March, Mercury entered its shadow zone. 15th of March, Mercury stations retrograde. On the 24th of March, we're going to have a Sun conjunct Mercury. So there's a rebirth of the Mercury. And on the same day, actually, Mercury will be in sextile to Pluto as well. Then on the 29th or 30th of March, Mercury will re-enter Pisces. So the retrogression will be taking place in two parts of your chart, starting in Aries, ending in Pisces. And Mercury will station direct on the 7th of April on 26 degree of Pisces. And then Mercury will leave the shadow period on the 26th of April 2025. So let us see what is going on. First of all, there is this 11-month loop going on with Mercury retrograde. What does that mean? Wherever Mercury goes retrograde right now, and that's the 9 degree of Aries, that's the degree where it went direct about 11 months before. So that was 2024, sometimes about April, May time. Now we can be doing a bit of a historical research about what went down, and I'm going to share some of my ideas, of course, but also you can be tracking this in your own life as well. So often it is believed that Mercury retrograde, your laptop is going to break down. That's not exactly what Mercury represents, actually. You need to be looking back what happened 11, 22, 33 months before, and then kind of like trying to connect the dots. So that's what I would like you to do this time around. But I did look back what happened in April 2024. So Taiwan had actually a 7.4 earthquake. Dominica bans same-sex marriage. Germany passes a law allowing people over 18 to identify or to choose their own gender. Sweden did something very similar also. Poland lifted law on abortion. Italy also allowed anti-abortion people to enter clinics. UAE was hit by a huge rainfall. In Sydney, a man kind of went on a killing ramp in a shopping mall. Iran sentenced a singer to death singing about some type of religious stuff. Iraq made same-sex marriage a crime. And even an old group of women sued the government for not doing enough about the climate change. And actually, they have won. So, what do we see here as a topic? Sexuality, but also something to do with legislation that come up and unfortunately some natural disasters. So shall we expect something similar? Yes, it looks like that sexuality is going to be quite a big topic in the next 6 months. So probably more countries will be passing laws against or kind of like supporting same-sex marriage and so on. But now it's interesting that this retrogression is going to be through fire and water, the first and the last sign of the zodiac. So it really talks to us about beginnings and endings. But there could be a lot of questioning going on with the retrogression. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to let go of? It's kind of like being at a crossroad, and I know that I need to be letting go of something, but I don't want to because maybe this is dear to me. Mercury has got a conjunction to Venus, and then they are traveling together. Both of them are moving back into the sign of Pisces as well. So something dear that I need to let go of, but maybe I don't have the courage just yet. Remember, Aries is about trying to push forward. But before we do that, we are meant to end something in our life as well. And if we don't do so, then we're going to have to come back in the future to kind of revisit this topic. It can feel like that you are a prisoner. It feels like we are going like, we don't have the freedom anymore. It's kind of like you have got the freedom. It's kind of like a lion type of energy, but I'm in captivity. So there is definitely a lot of freedom searching going on with this Mercury retrograde as well as searching for your self-worth. Now, Mercury is the ruler of the last lunar eclipse that is in the sign of Virgo. And in that particular chart, Mercury is actually stationary. It feels like that we are at a standstill. We are looking around what our opportunities are. And it feels like that we are not moving forward. It feels like that we have to be holding our breath. We are waiting for something to happen to be able to make a decision or to have a negotiation. It's kind of like we are waiting for someone to apologize, or we are waiting not to apologize for something that we did in case someone forgets about it. Often, the problem with Aries is that it doesn't want to go backwards. But it looks like we have to go backwards on the words, on our promises. Maybe we don't want to go backwards because it feels like if I move backwards, then it's a failure. But this retrograde says we must be patient. We must be revisiting something. We must improve something before we launch something new. Because Aries would like to give birth to something. It's part of the procreation cycle. All the fire signs are connected to procreation. And Mercury, the ruler of Virgo eclipse, indicates that unfortunately we have to be fixing something first. We might need to be looking at whether we've got this idea and does that idea serve the identity? It is telling us that we're going to have to review our own plan. Aries is our birthright. So we might be thinking about that, what, someone is trying to take away my rights. Simply, I just want to be me. Why do you want to stop me? But this Mercury retrograde says sometimes we're going to have to swallow this anger. We're going to have to contain it a little bit. Interesting that all three personal planets are retrograde. Well, at least one of them is in shadow, Mars. The Venus is retrograde, Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Aries, and the dispositor, Mars, is in shadows zone still. So it feels like there's something, an anger or the protection of my country or my protection of my loved ones and home environment and so forth, and family, of course, is kind of like lurking, but at the background. And maybe I want to be reviewing how to protect my own country, how to protect my own family and loved ones. But of course, Mars is something to do with sexuality as well. There's a lot of relationship energy involved here. Of course, we've got Mars being in the picture, Venus being in the picture. So there is a lot of confrontation. Mars and Venus are natural enemies. It looks like that there is kind of like a contractual agreement going on and one going against its own words. Mercury in Aries is, super honest, super direct, sometimes in a very brutal way. But retrogression says that we need to hold on. We need to tame our anger. Or simply, if you don't necessarily that type of person, you just need to express your anger because we might get pushed back. We might realize that we should not do that. But often maybe the message also is that anger, frustration does not take us too far. As Mercury made a conjunction to Venus, it is a reminder that we need to be sometimes a little bit more diplomatic. Diplomacy might take us a lot further. But also ask the question, do your words matter? Whose words matter? Who is the real leader here? Because Aries is a leadership sign. But it also tells us, hold your fire. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the person who might be telling you their own truth. Maybe you want to be having a difficult conversation. The question could be here is whether you have got the courage for it, or do you just hit someone with certain type of words? Because Mercury is the ruler of a South Node eclipse. We are meant to release the anger. We are meant to let go of it. We are meant to create, in a way, a healthier type of communication with someone. But also, this is telling you to give yourself the permission to do things, to initiate things. It's kind of like imagine that we've got this mutual reception happening between two eclipses. Because what's really interesting also, that on the day of the next eclipse, the solar eclipse on the 29th of March, Mercury actually re-enters Pisces. So definitely this Mercury is a big one. Something is culminating. We might not understand it, and we will have even more questions. If we look at the shadow period of Mercury, trading was the biggest topic since March. So surely there will be some new developments in that particular department. And it will bring a lot of anxiety, Virgo. It will bring up a lot of questions. And it's kind of like, who is going to have the last word here? And the retrogression might be telling us, does that really matter, especially with Venus? Because we need to come up with consensus here. And maybe imagine that Aries sometimes just wraps up a conversation and then leaves the room. It can feel like that we've got a path ahead of us, but because there is an eclipse that comes with drama, maybe we cannot see the signs. It might look like that it's okay to go ahead, but we might not see the light at the end of the tunnel. So there is a little bit of a confusion going on with this, especially once Mercury moves back into the sign of Pisces. This is telling us that we're going to have to go through the details if it comes to a conversation or if it comes to a contractual agreement, Venus. Maybe it's about wanting badly to find faults within a contract. But also, it's a reminder to speak up, to raise your voice because you want to be heard. Is that going to take you far? Maybe you want to be expressing your opinions. Do you think that your opinion count? There's a lot of internal dialogue going on here. You have got a lot of questions. Why do I do this? Why did I make such a silly mistake? Why did I take such a decision? There could be a lot of regrets also. Aries is meant to be one of the signs that represents confidence. With a retrograde energy, we can be lacking the confidence to express ourselves. We rethink what motivations we have, or what others want from us. We can even become suspicious. But also because fire is about creation, so this could represent also what do I want to achieve? What do I want to kind of create with this conversation? Of course, the fact that Venus and Mercury are traveling together, it shows that there is a lot of discussion about what to do, how to do, getting into a fight or letting it go, being part of it or not being part of it. There's a lot of heartfelt conversation also going on with this combination as well. But definitely, maybe it's a one-on-one or simply with the self. Like you're going to have to make an agreement with yourself. Now, I'm wondering if Mercury goes back into the sign of Pisces, that there are going to be conversations that we see, let's say, on telly, but that there is going to be separate conversations going on behind the scenes, and the agreements are actually born there. When we look at the aspects, I mean, Mercury is in sextile to Pallas Athene in Aquarius. Pallas Athene represents planning, having to recognize the anger behind the words. There's a lot of conversation about how we can make agreements, how things should be presented, pointing at someone, picking someone out in the group, maybe giving them responsibility or kind of like picking on them. Obviously, Zelensky got picked on because of not wearing a suit, right? So this is kind of like a scenario that I'm kind of like imagining here, on a political level. But also, it says to us with Mercury, which is the planet of education, that we all have a different level of education, understanding, and opinion over things. So we're gonna have to practice um, acceptance. Often with Mercury and Pallas Athene, it can feel like that we are singled out because Mercury is in the sign of Aries, and that's about your identity. Or simply with Aquarius, we want to break the rules. But this is an aspect of common sense. And this could bring up topics where there is no common sense, or using your common sense, you would understand the motive of the others. But surely, because Aquarius is about differences, we need to understand that we are all different. Mercury and Pallas Athene together is about uh, coming up with a battle plan, coming up with a solution. Pallas Athene is about wisdom. So we use a lot of wisdom, maybe even listen to friends or elderly people or someone who has got expertise in that field. We've got actually another two asteroids involved here. One of them is Arachne. If you want to be looking up where it is, then it is it is astrological number is 4 or 7. And Arachne basically it's about cobweb. So we've got kind of like this cobwebby situation going on here. She was actually turned into a spider by the goddess Athene. So it's interesting that Pallas Athene is also involved in this situation together with Arachne. Oh, by the way, it's a square. It's not a conjunction. It's on 9 degree of Libra. So it could actually, what came to my mind is that someone is going to get humiliated here publicly. But Arachne is also about complicated situations. So with Mercury being in the picture, there are a lot of complicated interactions going on. Arachne is an interesting asteroid. I think I was teaching about Arachne in my 30 most important asteroid course, but its meaning is it's something complex. It's something that you cannot easily kind of like untangle. This is the reason why we need this Pallas Athene who says, plan it out. But also, it talks to you about natural talent, a gift, like the ability to be able to see through very complicated situations. So it looks like there is going to be someone who can help you, a friend of yours or someone in your community who will help you see this through. It's kind of like the God-given talent in your chart, but also often people are very jealous of you because of that. So let me know where your Arachne is in the chart. Because around that part, it could actually talk to you about that you are going to be challenged, but it's a very crafty type of energy. So it kind of feels like that maybe someone is going to come up with a very complex situation. People are not going to be able to get their head around it, but maybe there is a natural kind of talent going on behind it. And another asteroid that is actually involved here is Salacia. And that is in a very tight conjunction to Mercury. So first of all, Salacia is kind of like the wife of Neptune. Neptune hunted her down, basically. He badly wanted her. But also so it could actually indicate to us that, it can feel like that something is after us. It can feel like that it's not easy to get away from something, but also something that looks so compelling, something so inviting, so good that I cannot give up on it. So we can get sucked into this uh, kind of like beautiful scenery or opportunity and so forth, especially when Mercury, well, either it's in the sign of Pisces or Aries, doesn't matter because both of them can be pulled into this situation. But is it really real? We're gonna have to kind of ask that. Now, Salacia has got a very unusual orbit. By the way, it takes about 290 years. So very similar to Pluto and Orcus. So it tends to be spending quite a lot of time in one sign and less in others. But Neptune sent all these dolphins to speak to her, to convince her to be his wife. So Neptune never gave up. So she kind of got forced a marriage upon her. So even with this Salasi, it could feel like that someone is trying to force the words onto me. By the way, Salacia means standing out. So I want to be standing out with the speech, what I mean. And by the way, apparently also sal means salt as well. So, but that would be the represent like salty conversations, right? So it kind of makes sense there. So there is a lot of interesting stuff going down with this Mercury retrograde. Also because Mercury is the representation of currencies, it really feels like that certain type of currencies will be pretty triggered. Retrogression is about slowing down, and that's going to be important here. Aries is about rushing a new information, rushing to get a piece of information. We've got all these bold ideas. We're going to have to put a pause on them. It is about looking inwards. It is sometimes no need to be loud or blunt. We're gonna have sometimes actually, quietness and no words are louder than screaming on top of your lungs. And it could also feel like that certain type of opportunities that you had is kind of like slowed down. It's kind of like you're waiting for an email to come and then it's delayed. Or it could, Aries has got that primitive, instinctual, or raw side to it. So we need to be careful, especially because Venus is right next to it. If we want to talk to a partner, loved ones, and so forth, because it could become very messy. This is why it says to us, count to 10 before you open your mouth, basically. It is, the March 14, 15 Virgo full moon eclipse is stationing at the same degree as the upcoming new moon eclipse. So important here. So we've got some really big new beginnings. We are so passionate about it. We want to be jumping into that. But at the same time, this is going to be slowing us down as well, unfortunately. So, guys, this is my intake on the upcoming Mercury retrograde. I hope it helps. See you soon. Bye bye.